NAPC, because generally, which has never been a trend, the way it comes to a push, we have to vote. We process issues at the Chief Whips Forum before it comes here, just to make sure that your meeting goes smoothly and also we don't waste time. But we note that, and there's a correct consent from your good self, that we must look at this matter and also comply and stand by our decisions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lisuma. Honorable Singh, followed by Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party, Kwahube.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and good morning to colleagues and everybody that's present. I think if we look around today...
Sorry.
Oh, did you?
No, man. Siviwe, you can't be my chief whip.
Oh, what did you?
So the chief whip of the opposition party. I'm sorry. Thank you very much. Proceed, Honorable Singh. Honorable Singh. Oh, please proceed.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. No, Honorable Speaker, I mean, the only confusion I can see here is for next week, which we have to discuss when we're discussing the program. I see programming is virtual, and I think we've got to change that. We agreed last week that it should be physical, and it's good to see everybody. It's so good, you know, I feel so energized this morning. And, you know, they say every cloud has a silver lining. Thanks to load shedding, I got up at 5 o'clock. Because load shedding started at 6 in Acacia. So I was ready, I was in Parliament by 6:45. So I think I have the advantage of being here early. But I think on principle, we did decide last week. And I know there were concerns when we had the Chief Whips Forum, this is not that forum in any case. But there were concerns expressed why we were not having programming physical. It was expressed there at the Chief Whips Forum. And now when we have it physical, then some people are not here. Possibly there are reasons. I mean, transport is one of the reasons, and I think we need to provide for those that cannot make it here on time. They do that with other committees. But I think we must proceed on a physical basis. It's only 4 or 5 weeks to go. And unless there's a serious train smash that doesn't allow us to be physical, and that's your prerogative, Honorable Speaker, then we go virtual. Otherwise, physical. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Singh. Honorable Kwahube.
Thanks, Speaker. I think there has been no confusion. I think we were unequivocal in the last meeting. It will be reflected in the minutes that the various meetings, such as the NAPC, the Joint Standing Committee on Financial Management of Parliament, all of these meetings are going to start convening in person. In fact, last term, we had a list of some of the rooms which would be made available not only for these committees, but for other committees as well. So there has been no confusion. I think that if we are demanding, and I've been one of those people who has been very vocal about demanding that members of the executive in particular show up physically in Parliament, if we are demanding that that be the case, then we've got to hold ourselves up to the same standard. And if we're not prepared to lead by example, then all that the fight we've been having about Parliament reconvening in person has been in vain. And so I think that the decision must stand, and that it should not be hybrid. I think it will defeat the purpose of meeting in person, and I think that we should proceed. And people who are unable to attend can attend their apologies. But I think let's proceed as per the decision. We are the chief whips here, and if we are not prepared to lead by the example, then then our members can't see from us that the prerogative of coming to Parliament is important. Thanks.
Very much, Honorable Kwahube. Dr. Mulder.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. We are way beyond COVID. COVID has come and gone. The rest of South Africa is back to normal. We've got a different challenge. Our building is not cooperating. But the presiding officers as a collective, as well as the whippery, should set the example. If we want Parliament to get back to normality, who's going to set the example if we don't do that? And there's no reason why we can't meet physically. We can, as we are doing at the moment. And I would ask that we proceed in that vein, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mulder. Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yeah, I think I agree with Honorable Singh that I had to leave at 6:30 to beat the traffic to get here this morning. But I think we also need to be practical about this, Honorable Speaker. What is it on that program that could not have been done virtually this morning and save the cost and you can see many of the members are not here today. I think, you know, many of us are asking for everything to be physical, meetings, sittings and things. And the dismal attendance in these sittings will tell you that we want certain things, but we're not complying with it. We're not fulfilling what we're requiring. So for me, if you look at the cost implications in terms of like the sittings itself, and obviously you would have arranged, Parliament would have arranged the shuttle services to bring people from the different villages and things of that, which we're paying for, and hardly anybody is attending these things. So I think we need to look at, you know, I once before raised the issue of even the programming meeting. What is the purpose of having a programming meeting every week if there's nothing new on the agenda to discuss? What is really the purpose of it? So that's my other concern that I have. For us, it doesn't matter whether it's physical or it's virtual, but I think we need to be practical about it. Yes, we need to be here, but at the same time, if there are stuff that we can handle on virtual platform, I mean, we talk about the fourth industrial revolution all the time. We talk about technology all the time, but we seem to be, whilst we want it, we seem to be running away from it. So that is my view, that I think we should, you know, look at what is on the agenda, whether it's necessary to be a physical, can everybody, or look at the attendance that we're going to have. If half the people are not available, then we could have it virtually. But I think based on the circumstance at that given time, we need to look at it from that perspective.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sheikh Imam. If I may remind you, when we had this discussion last time, not last week, the issue had nothing to do with what is contained on the agenda of the meeting or not. It had everything to do with the fact that there is a push for people to come back to Parliament. And therefore, a decision, exactly what both Honorable Kwahube and Honorable Singh said, which is that if the executive does not set an example on this matter, then it means we will continue to have the kinds of problems we have even in our physical sittings at the Good Hope, where people have been allocated a number of seats. And sometimes you have a situation where those seats are not filled. I mean, people are just not there. So that was the context within which this motivation was made, that we now need to go back to normal. Yes, you know, industrial revolution and, you know, it's okay. But the point is, a decision was taken that the leadership of Parliament will be back here physically. And I thought you were setting an example so that the rest of the members of Parliament, such as what we're having now, mini plenaries, that we will not have virtual mini plenaries, we'll have a fully physical mini plenary. So if anyone wants to debate, then the person must be available in one of the rooms where we're having these meetings. So I'm just saying, I'm glad that I hear members saying, let us continue. I don't think we should take decisions which are opportunistic. When it suits me, yes, let it be physical. When it does not suit me, then let the meeting be virtual. Let's take an in-principle decision which is confirm, in fact, or reiterate the decision which we had taken, that for now, this is how we want to continue. And thereafter, if we want to evaluate, we can evaluate later, but we can't evaluate by staying away from a meeting. We have members staying away from the meeting, and then we say, okay, maybe we need to reconsider the decision we took. I think it's disingenuous to do that, honorable members. Let me allow. Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My understanding, therefore, is that during session, the NAPC will meet physically. The one exception could be on the 15th of June, because on that day, there are mini plenaries and they are meeting virtually. Those are debates on party motions. And maybe we can take that as an exception. Whenever we have virtual sittings of the House, no one is here, then the NAPC will then meet virtually. Is that my understanding correct? Is my understanding correct? Yes, that would be my recommendation. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, but there's a hand there. Honorable Lisuma.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I think we need to formalize it from that side to say, yes, we confirm that the NAPC would be physical unless there is no sitting like on the 15th, and it shall be written as such. Other than that, they will be continuous as we have decided to sit physically. Thank you very much.
Honorable Lisuma, Honorable Korenov.
I fully endorse your proposal. It's a correct thing to do. This is a leadership, and it's not a standard program. This program every week is important issues that we discuss for the benefit of Parliament or for the National Assembly. So I agree that we meet physically. What we need to do in addition is to adjust the logistics to support the decision for members to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Thank you very much. And therefore, the matter of transport for members to attend the meeting cannot be an issue, because that is a matter that will have to be attended to. Thank you very much, honorable members. Then we proceed to consider the agenda before us. Honorable members, when you move, you agree? Thank you very much, DS. Thank you. Does anyone support? Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. So the agenda having been adopted, we now consider the minutes of the meeting of the 4th of May. Minutes of the 4th of May, honorable members. Thank you, honorable members. Those were the minutes. Are there any matters which are not a true reflection of the discussions we had? Corrections to the minutes? Any amendments? None. Then we proceed, honorable members, and deal with matters arising. Mr. Mbanga. Okay. Adoption of the minutes. Thank you, Honorable Sheikh Imam. I feel it when you are not in a meeting, you know that. I feel it when the other time you were not here, and it took time to adopt the minutes. Yes, thank you for seconding. So minutes having been adopted, we then proceed to deal with matters arising. We do have a few matters arising, and I will allow for Mr. Kaso to take us through.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The first one had to do with members for the intelligence.
My apology. It's that people who are watching on TV, they can't hear our voices. I'm not too sure whether it's load shedding somewhere. It seems like the volume is frozen. Thank you.
We'll ask ICT and broadcasting people to assist us with that. Thanks.
Suggesting that we should just give them 2 minutes, adjourn a bit. So we'll take a pause until you're certain that everything is okay.
Listen, on a lighter note, while we wait, if it was not a physical meeting and it was virtual, and Honorable Sheikh Imam had load shedding, he could not propose that we adopt the minutes. So that's why it's very important that we,
True, because with load shedding, there is this, sometimes this between 6 and 8:30 or 6 to 9. Well, that's my experience, at least in Johannesburg. Yeah, and it's the worst time. That's when you want to have your meetings and there's load shedding. You see, yeah. Are we okay there?
Head of Broadcasting is checking quickly.
Okay.
Matapo.
You give us a signal when you are ready. Okay, thank you very much. Honorable members, then we proceed with matters arising.
Madam Speaker, I was still saying that there were two nominations of the ANC for the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence. The one has been confirmed by the President and is now effective, and the other is still in the process of being confirmed. There is a concurrence process that is underway, so that should be confirmed shortly. That's on the JSCI. The second one relates to the State Capture Commission recommendations. Mr. Frolick has asked that I report that the chairpersons of committees met last Friday to just be clarified in terms of what is expected of them. And the understanding is that there will be quarterly reports from those chairpersons. Some committees have already been briefed by the content people, but we're just clarifying procedural questions, and that is now cleared. So we should start getting reports from committees. Honorable members will be aware that those matters that concern the Rules Committee have been dealt with and are being dealt with. There are still aspects that must be dealt with by the Joint Rules Committee. Those will be dealt with shortly. And the third one, scheduling of debates on topics for external bodies. That will happen in June. Some debates will be scheduled. We are discussing with the IR component. We are likely to deal with the topic on the CPA, transformation of the CPA, and the BRICS summit, possibly, but that is still being considered, and the role of the BRICS Parliamentary Forum. And the last one, ma'am, has to do with the debate by Honorable Heron. The programming whip is dealing with that. It's a snap debate. And therefore, because NEP debates are not debates that ordinarily go to many plenaries, but the programming whip will deal with that matter. Those are the issues, and I think the other one, Honorable Singh, I know has raised it with the other Honorable Whips, has to do with the committee on the public protector that must still be established. We have given the options, the one option with 11 members, and the other 11 voting members and 14 non-voting members, and the parties are consulting. We just require that to be finalized, the consultations to be finalized before the 25th of May, because we would like to take that motion to the House on the 25th of May. Thank you, Madam Speaker. That is all I have on my side.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Kasu. Honorable members, those were the matters arising out of the minutes. Are there any other matters arising out of the minutes which we've left out? Honorable Kwahube?
Speaker, I just wanted to quickly go back to what Mr. Klaso said about the quarterly reports of the committees. You'll recall May last year that 3 members of Parliament were referred to the Ethics Committee, flowing from that report. So I'm not sure, because the Ethics Committee obviously deals with things quite differently. How are we going to deal with whether to have an understanding of where that process is, whether or not the committee is considering those matters, and when are we going to get a feedback on it? Thanks.
Do you want to give a report?
Ma'am, I will establish where the matters are. I know some have been dealt with already, and but I will get the report so that we can provide it to this committee. Thank you.
In fact, Honorable Kwahube, maybe you were not here last week. Last week, I had an opportunity to give a reprimand, and it was against Honorable Zwane. Unfortunately, Honorable Zwane was not at the House, but we nonetheless dealt with the matter, and in fact, we've been given another date, hopefully, when he will be available to make an apology. But not only that, yesterday I signed a letter which gives a directive to the finance section, so that effectively from the 15th they deduct a 5 days, is it 5 days? 5 days salary. So the fact that he was not there has not prevented us from continuing to take decisions and implement the recommendations of the Ethics Committee. Okay. Honorable Lisuma?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think the point also that Honorable Kwahube is raising, correctly so, that the Ethics Committee does its work differently than other committees. But Chair, is that as the committee deals with the issues, not necessarily that all issues are at Ethics Committee. Hence, Mr. Klaso said that the chairs, affected chairs mainly, they had their own meetings, so to process their matters. Probably is to check, the advice that I can say is that maybe Honorable Kwahube also might if there's any item that she feels that is not attended to, probably through the registry, she can write to her and deal with that. But other than that, all matters that have been referred by your good self from the state of capture report are in all committees as they are supposed to be, and are attended in their faces, of course, in the Ethics Committee, because it operates differently and it's highly confidential as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Lisuma. May I invite Mr. Klaso to give a report as on one of the aspects of the Zondo report, one of the recommendations which came out, which I have since dealt with together with the whippery.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This relates to the proposed committee on vote 1. The matter is currently serving before the subcommittee, well, before the Rules Committee, which has since referred it to the subcommittee on the review of rules. There has been a decision by the Rules Committee for a study tour to be undertaken to the UK Parliament by members of the subcommittee. So that process is in motion. We are in the process of establishing with the UK Parliament when it would be able to host the delegation. So it's the subcommittee in the main with the addition of the House Chair for committees representing the office of the Speaker, but also because this is dealing with a committee. So we are likely to have a 9-member delegation on this matter. So that is where things are at the moment, but the matter is receiving the attention that it should be getting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I wouldn't want us to discuss this matter. This is a matter which has been thoroughly exhausted by the Rules Committee. And subsequently to that, then one made this proposal that you can't say nothing at all. Because my biggest challenge was that it was either we have it or we don't. And in the report which was submitted to us by the Budget Office, one of the options which are there, which are available for us to explore, is that of the UK Parliament, for instance, have what is called a liaison committee. And that liaison committee, that is where the Prime Minister appears thrice a year. So I then suggested to the Rules Committee that perhaps this is the route we should consider. So we have a team from the Rules Committee visiting because this desktop research sometimes does not necessarily give you a real gist or sense of how things are done and the issues which are dealt with by the liaison committee. So we've started preparing, we're engaging with the Brits, and hopefully by July we will have a team which will be led by the chair of the subcommittee visiting the UK just to go through that process so that we lay a firm or a solid foundation for those who will be coming after us during the 7th Parliament. I think that for me is the issue. We can't get to the end of this session, this 6th administration, without a firm decision. We need to take a firm decision so that come next year, we don't have people still discussing the same issue, because this matter arises from the recommendations of the State Capture Report. Honorable members. Thank you. I think we're done with matters arising. If there are no other matters you'd like to discuss under matters arising, none, honorable members, then we proceed to receive a report from Ms. Kiba from the committee section.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Very good morning to all the honorable members and all my colleagues. The report... Thank you. I present the report of the committee section on bills and matters before committees. Madam Speaker, there are not much of developments on the slides, but I would wish to only concentrate on the 4 slides where there are updates on, with your permission. I will start with slide number 2. We are reporting on this slide, Madam Speaker, that there are actually 28 ordinary bills before NA committees since last night. And then we want to jump from the slide to slide number 14. On slide number 14, we also want to report that on the Judicial Matters Amendment Bill, there are updates. The committee will be briefed on the bill on the 17th of May, and they intend to hold public hearings on the 31st of May and further deliberations on that bill on the 13th and 14th of June. The next reporting slide will be slide 15. On this slide, we also want to report that there is a new bill before PC on Public Service and Administration, which is the Public Administration Management Amendment Bill, as well as a second bill that was introduced last night, Madam Speaker, which is the, can I just quickly get the name of the bill on my report? The name of the bill would be the South African Post Office Limited Amendment Bill before the PC on Communications and Digital Technologies. The last reporting slide, slide number 19. On this slide, we report that the Committee on Section 194 has changed its program and they aim to finish their work on the 26th of June 2023. This is subject to the committee requesting approval from the House Chairperson for all the meetings that they have not been granted permission on. So that is why we are indicating it as provisional on the slides. Some meetings have been approved, others still require approval by the House Chairperson. And this concludes my report, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Mbata. There are just two issues I would like to personally raise here on arising out of the report. Now, a bill has been submitted last night. And it is expected that this bill is passed before the end of this parliamentary term. And yet we have quite a number of bills which are prioritized, which we have to pass before we adjourn. That's the problem I have. In fact, just to say that we postponed a meeting last night with the DP. These are some of the things I want to raise with the leader of government business. You know, when we were discussing the issue of the legislation, for instance, let me just use this example. A constitutional court will take a decision and give us a deadline. And then 2 years down the line, usually a constitutional court gives you about 2 years. Then we come back and I must apply for an extension. And it does not look good for us. I don't want us to go back to the electoral amendment bill, but if you look at there's this bill on marriages, Muslim marriages right now, which is before us. Now that bill, no matter how controversial it is, the point is that bill has been in the pipeline for quite some time. It was brought to Parliament in March, right? And then there's a June deadline. So I think there's a bit of a challenge with that, and it applies to the, if you look at the bill which was piloted by the Department of Justice and Correctional Services, which deals with chicks issues, that bill was discussed for 2 years. The bill was there. And then at some point there had to be an extension for a year. That's additional to the 2 years. And then, but still, those matters have taken, the point is, those matters have taken long to be finalized. And these are some of the issues which we're discussing with the Deputy President. I don't know how we're going to deal with an issue of a bill from the Department of Public Service and Administration, which was submitted to us yesterday. But it is a matter that we'll have to find a way of dealing with. But I can't guarantee that committees will be able to deal with that bill. Now, and that DPSA bill, actually, there's an indication that it must be fast-tracked. There are many other bills which must be fast-tracked. So, Honorable Lisuma, it is a matter I would like you to take note of. Honorable Singh, followed by Honorable
No, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Is somebody trying to sabotage our meeting? I see the alarms are going off.
The session times is checking out.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I'm glad you raised that issue because last week, I think in the virtual, I raised the matter about the Judicial Matters Amendment Bill, in particular the Constitutional Court injunction that we should look at the definition of spouse and life partnerships. And I know Advocate Van der Merwe did tell us that it's going to be read in, but the fact of the matter is the court gave us Parliament until June this year to correct legislation. And the legislation was only tabled on the 21st or 23rd of March. So what are we going to do? Are we going to write to the court and say, well, we can't meet it, or are we just going to accept the reading in of that clause into our legislation until Parliament looks at it? We don't know when. The second issue, Honorable Chairperson, I've been doing a lot of reading about marriages because I've been married for a very, very long time. And sometimes I forget how many years. But, but I read there are things called civil marriages, there are things called civil unions, there's customary marriage, all recognized by the law as legal marriages. Then the other two marriages are Muslim and Hindu marriages. Now, I note that there's a bill on Muslim marriages, recognition of Muslim marriages. What about Hindu marriages? Because every law book that you read about on marriages talks about both those marriages. So I don't know where we make an appeal, whether it's to that Home Affairs Committee or whoever, that when they're considering marriages and legalizing marriages, then they look at all types of marriages that take place. I'm not saying they must legalize them, but they've got to find a way, not only for Muslim marriages, but Hindu marriages as well. So I'm just placing that on the table. I don't know, through you, Speaker, Mr. Secretary, where that goes or how it goes, but it's a matter that I thought I must raise. Thank you.
Very much, Honorable Singh. Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The issues you raise, Madam Speaker, has a history in this committee. Advocate Van der Merwe and them in the team on a regular basis did a report on the constitutional requirements for us to complete bills. For example, 24 months, as you say, for a bill to be sorted out and so on. And what we said in this committee was that we must examine what are the reasons for these delays. Are they because of our own delays or in the executive delay? And what do we do about that so that we do not also allow a situation that arises that for 18 months nothing is done. We only hear when we ask what was happening that no, this was complex, this is what we're trying to